Ladies and gentlemen, TZ Man, we are back with another video, and I hope you guys are all doing well. Today's video will be on my reaction to the recent NFL Wildcard Round that went down recently, and boy, was it a crazy Wildcard Round. We saw some expected wins, but boy, did we see some crazy upsets. Let's get right into today's video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Obviously, positive vibes 147, so let's get right into it. So for today's video, and of course into the wild card round, I want to look at games that have like a big open-ended discussion behind it that I feel like we need to have discussion about. So I won't be discussing much about the Bills game. It was a very close game. Miami were close to beating them, but Buffalo were able to pull it off. That was sort of expected. We did see Baltimore almost pull it off against Cincinnati. That was very interesting. They went dual quarterback play style. J.K. Dobbins had a solid performance, but it just wasn't enough to beat a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. They're trying to get back in the Super Bowl again. We saw the 49ers just freaking dominate the Seahawks. And I really want to kind of go a little bit in depth on that 49ers performance against Seattle, specifically their quarterback Brock Purdy, who completed 18 of his 30 passes, threw for 332 yards and threw for 3 touchdowns. Guys, this kid in his first season stepped in, of course, for their quarterback situation. Obviously, Trey Lance is hurt. Jimmy G is out. So you bring in Brock Purdy, and boy, he has been a very, very big addition and a big step up, mind you, for San Francisco. And they're going to have a very interesting quarterback situation coming in this offseason, because now you have Jimmy G, Brock Purdy, who's playing well right now, and Trey Lance, who you drafted high in the draft not too long ago. So it's going to be very interesting to see what San Francisco will do with those 3 quarterbacks in the offseason. We saw Christian McCaffrey had a very good performance at the running back. He had 15 carries, 119 rushing yards. Deebo Samuel had 1 receiving touchdown, 132 receiving yards, 32 rushing yards on 3 carries. Deebo Samuel had a very good performance. Christian McCaffrey had a very good performance. San Francisco just showed out against Seattle. They're very creative on the run game, very creative on the throwing it, of course, of Brock Purdy. They just have some really good, solid talent, and Dallas gonna have to watch out. San Francisco are just that team that just has that play style that just transfers beautifully well on the road, because they are just a run attack team. They can also throw well. They have some great defense. It's a nice system and good culture in San Francisco. They are definitely a team to look out for in this playoffs, as my Cowboys are playing them. This has to be a very interesting game this Sunday. Can't wait to watch that. The next thing I wanted to kind of get into was the Jacksonville game. The Jaguars, that game, how they were able to pull off that comeback against the Chargers was fucking nuts. But let me start off with the Chargers. Brandon Staley has to be on the hot seat. He has to be, you guys. You just can't blow a lead like that, especially against a team that started season 2-6, and this is a team, from your perspective, barely made the playoffs. So you should feel like you have all the confidence in the world to just take this team out. And the Chargers couldn't even do it. If you can't take out the Jaguars, you have to be on the hot seat. And that's not necessarily Justin Herbert's fault. That could be on the defense. That could also be on the play calling. The Chargers just don't know how to execute. In that game, when they had a lead, it just like they got too comfortable, and Jacksonville smelled the blood and they came in. Trevor Lawrence started the game off pretty bad, just throwing interception after interception. The guy didn't even really have that great of a performance. He had a 4 for 4. He threw for 4 touchdowns and threw 4 interceptions. He had a 4 for 4 special. And you just, I can't believe the Chargers blew that. Like, I actually like Justin Herbert, and I don't want to see him go out that early. But fair play to Jacksonville, because this is a team last season, you guys, was under a very toxic coach in Urban Meyer, who a very well-respected coach in college. Well, some don't respect him, whether it's personality issue or whatnot. Coming to the NFL, they had some high expectations for him. Obviously, young quarterback Trevor Lawrence showed out in Clemson. So you felt like you had some future going on in Jacksonville brewing when you bring in Urban Meyer, and of course, Trevor Lawrence bringing her. But then you hear these off-season stuff about some players not liking Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer mistreating special position players and kickers. Like, it was just bad. It was bad. And then coming to the season, you find out he goes out to a bar/restaurant after a game, and they lost. It's just, that was a very toxic season. And I was worried for those other talented Jaguars players, specifically Trevor Lawrence, who had tons of potential. You're hoping that just doesn't poison him and affect him in the long term, in the long run, and it didn't. This season, they bring in Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles not too crazy long ago. And what a season. They start off the season, like I said, they start off the season 2-6, you guys. They start off the season 2-6. They fought, scratched, and clawed all the way to the end, and they made the playoffs. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence. Shout out to Evan Ingram. Shout out to Zay Jones. Shout out to Marvin Jones. Shout out to Christian Kirk. Those guys just turned it around. And of course, the running back Travis Etienne, to go more deep in their stats, Etienne had 20 carries, rushed for 109 yards. Trevor Lawrence threw for 288 yards, completed 20 of his 47 passes in his 4-for-4 Wendy's special performance. And the Jaguars did it, and it's just, it blows my mind how the Chargers blew it. It blows my mind. Brandon Staley has to be on the hot seat. He has to be on the hot seat because time and time again, we saw in the regular season and in the past, with Brandon Staley in charge, they just don't know how to execute, and he has to go. He has to go. The Vikings just collapsed. They just collapsed, and Kirk Cousins just cannot be their starter anymore. Just cannot. He just cannot be their starter. Like, time and time again for Minnesota, a very talented franchise with weapons like Justin Jefferson, weapons like Dalvin Cook at the running game. Adam Thielen, also a very solid receiver. Not what he used to be. Definitely slowed down a bit, but he can still bring you some moments and plays. And you even trade for T.J. Hockenson, who's a solid tight end, a stud, and you can't beat the Giants. Nothing against the Giants. They have a nice, young, talented team. I like Darius Slayton. I like Saquon's game a lot. I mean, Saquon, we all know when healthy, he's freaking legit. Daniel Jones, he can be iffy at times, but he showed out in that game. He had a very good performance. Kirk Cousins just... It's crazy because you don't expect the Vikings to just lose to the Giants this early because they actually had a solid season. And speaking of Daniel Jones, like I mentioned earlier, completed 24 of his 35 passes, threw for 201 yards, and threw for 2 touchdowns. Kirk Cousins completed 31 of 39 passes, threw for 273 yards, threw for 2 touchdowns, which wasn't bad statistically, but it's like, what did it translate to? We saw some poor plays in that game. There was that one play where Justin Jefferson was throwing the ball. He threw it to you, and it just went fucking nowhere. You guys just didn't do anything that play. And Minnesota has to realize he's just not that guy. He's not that guy. It was a very average performance by Kirk Cousins and the Vikings against the Giants team you should have beaten. Justin Jefferson only had 47 receiving yards, you guys, and 7 receptions. That's just not... That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. The Vikings you just cannot lose a game like that against the freaking Giants that early in the playoffs. If Kirk Cousins isn't on the hot seat to lose a starting job, I don't know what loss will it take for Minnesota to fucking realize he's not your quarterback for the future because he's going to waste Justin Jefferson's potential. He's going to waste that move you brought in T.J. Hockenson. It's just going to be a waste if you keep having Kirk Cousins start for you. He just cannot start for you anymore. Lastly, the biggest game we have to talk about, the Cowboys and Buccaneers. And I look, coming into this game as a Cowboys fan, if you guys didn't follow me from a while ago on my sports podcast, Board Talk, I was being fed up with the Cowboys. And just in this season, coming into this season at that time when I was recording that podcast and that episode, I said, I'm not watching that many Cowboys games this season. And I didn't. There was just this continuation of just lack of discipline, always letting you down. And I stayed loyal, I stayed true, but it was just, I need to see something in the playoffs for me to be truly convinced they are that legit team. And they had a good season this year. They had a very good season. Micah Parsons sold out. Should definitely be NFL Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. They just had a good season. But there were still times in the season where, like for example, the most recent loss against the Commanders and one loss against the Jaguars, we shouldn't have lost those games. And games like those worry me for the Cowboys when it comes playoff time. And I was very worried coming into this game against Tom Brady and the Bucs. Now, yes, this Bucs team isn't what they used to be, but Tom Brady is there. They still have some good names on the team, like Mike Evans and Godwin at their receiving position. So I was worried, obviously, but I was optimistic. I was hoping the Cowboys can pull it off, but it was just hard to be logical because it's Tom Brady. It's the GOAT. And that game, Dak Prescott, very, 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 very impressive performance. We'll get into Dak in just a bit. The Cowboys even showed out, pressuring Tom Brady. We just won that game more than the Buccaneers did. We won that game way more. And that just goes to show you how good Dallas can be on their best day. We just beat Tom Brady, the GOAT. We just beat the GOAT. And it's crazy how we were able to pull it out. Now, Dak Prescott performance completed 25 of 33 passes, threw for 305 yards, you guys. 305 yards and 4 touchdowns. Dak Prescott just played lights out, while Tom Brady only completed 35 of his 66 passes and threw for 2 touchdowns and had 351 yards. I kind of want to focus more on the Buccaneers on this game. I'm happy that the Cowboys won, but I really need to focus on the Buccaneers. What the fuck was that? Tom did not look Tom. He looked like a Tim out there. He looked like a Timothy. He didn't look like a go out there. He looked like a sheep apart of the sheep pack. And the Dallas Cowboys beat them. A Cowboys team that should be questioned by everybody in terms of discipline and fucking up whenever it matters most. Like Brett Maher missed 4 field goals and the Buccaneers couldn't capitalize on it. 4 field goals. He didn't make a single, he missed every field goal in the first half that he took. I believe he missed 2-3 field goals in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. And you just cannot miss the opportunity to not capitalize. The Dallas Cowboys, my Cowboys, are known for fucking up for whatever reason, whether the defense fucks up come playoff time or it's the offense this time, it's the coach. Just something always goes wrong with Dallas. A messed up snap, something that just wasn't a catch. Just something always goes wrong for Dallas. You couldn't beat that team. You couldn't capitalize on a team where their kicker missed 4 extra points. Those extra points count, and Tampa Bay just couldn't capitalize on it. So many things went wrong for the Buccaneers this season, and I don't mean to bring this up, but I'll save it for a bit later. But here's what went wrong for the Bucs this year. Your defense isn't the same as it was before. Chris Godwin came back from injury super slow. Evans just wasn't there this season. I don't know what happened to Mike Evans. He regressed this season, if you ask me. He regressed. He just did not look like himself this season. Leonard Fournette was just trash. He was trash. 5 carries, only rushed for 11 yards. The run game was non-existent for Tampa that game. And Tom did not look like Tom. Like I said, he looked like a Timothy. He looked like a Tim. And nothing against people that are named Tim, but he just couldn't do anything. He just couldn't do anything. And it just blows my mind because you don't want to see him go out like that. And this all started with, and I hate bringing this up. I hate bringing this up. Some of you guys in the comment section might call me out for this, but I hate bringing it up, and I don't like to bring it up. But that divorce with Gisele Bündchen had just played a role for sure. Mentally just fucked him up. Like, there's no way you can tell me that did not fuck him up throughout the course of the season. Like, Tom Brady just, it's frustrating because there's a small part of me that somewhat doesn't really feel bad because you brought this on yourself. You could have retired. You had all the Super Bowls in the world to prove that you were the GOAT. All the accolades. Yet you decided to come back for one more year. You could have really dedicated some of that time to your wife. Say you come back for 1 year. I understand we all love football, but we all have to understand that wife, that lady, that woman needs support too. She needs sacrifice from man too. And I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but from what it looked, Brady just wanted to come back for one more year of football. Just ended the right way. I guess just ended off a Super Bowl. Gisele went her way. And from there, it was just a slow domino effect. And now for Tom, it's just like, does he stay in Tampa? Does he just, like, he can't really go to any other team. You really have to have like a damn near perfect situation for Tom Brady at this point in his career. You really do. And it sucks. We don't know what's next for Tom Brady. I hope he retires. I sincerely hope he retires. I don't like to see him retire like this. But I just don't envision Tom winning the Super Bowl. I don't. And I hate saying that. I really do hate saying that. Anyways, you guys, that'll be the end of this wildcard reaction video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for my next video very, very soon. I did mention that World Cup video will be coming out very, very soon. I love all you guys. The next episode for Deep Depth episode 3, you guys. Official date, January 25th. 2022, Wednesday. Stay tuned, you guys. January 25th. Next Wednesday. Stay tuned. Deep Dive Episode 3 drops with my guy, Auntie. You guys don't want to miss out. Mark the calendar. Love all you guys. Like I said, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Peace.